Hello everyone and welcome back to Basics with Hima. So in today's video, we will try to understand more about mutual fund and how to go about selecting them from beginner's point of view. So I will be discussing a couple of key factors that we should keep in mind before we go ahead and select our very first mutual fund. So let's begin. So before we begin, so let us first try to understand what are mutual funds and what all plans are covered as a part of mutual fund and what are the key categories जो म्यूचुअल फंड में होती है. So mutual fund क्या होते हैं basically? Mutual fund we can consider them as a basket of different securities. It could be bonds, it could be stocks. So इन सब का एक basket होता है जहाँ पे basically allocation defined by a company जिसको हम बोलते हैं AMC, Asset Management Company. So as per their structure, allocation structure, they invest our money that we give to them. तो म्यूचुअल फंड्स सिंपल भाषा में एक पूल होता है ऑफ सिमिलर काइंड ऑफ स्टॉक्स और सिमिलर काइंड्स ऑफ बॉन्ड्स और इट कुड बी लाइक फ्रॉम डिफरेंट सेक्टर्स ऑल टुगेदर. So that is it's on AMC company how they want to structure their mutual fund portfolio. Abhi there are two plans under it. The one is called direct plan and the other one is called regular plan. So direct plan क्या होता है? We directly invest our money with AMC, the asset management company. So there is no middleman or broker involved. एंड रेगुलर प्लान में क्या होता है वी डायरेक्ट वाया अ ब्रोकर. सो अब सिंपल सी बात है अगर कोई बीच में ब्रोकर है लाइक इन द केस ऑफ रेगुलर प्लान सो वहाँ पे थोड़ा वी हैव टू पे लिटिल एक्स्ट्रा राइट फॉर देम टू मैनेज अर मनी और टू एक्चुअली डाइवर्ट अर मनी टू द AMC. सो इन रेगुलर प्लान बेसिकली देर इज वन की फैक्टर जो होता है एक्सपेंस रेशियो. सो दैट इज लिटिल हायर कंपेयर टू direct plan. So सीधी सी बात है that we as an investor or like when we are selecting a very first mutual fund we should opt for direct plan. अभी expense ratio क्या होता है? So this is something that I will discuss in the later part of the video. अभी बात करते हैं what are the key categories under a mutual fund. So broadly there are 3 to 4 major categories that for like from beginner's point of view that we need to understand. So the first category is equity based mutual fund. अब इसमें क्या होता है इसमें यूजली स्टॉक्स रहते हैं कंपनीज के फ्रॉम डिफरेंट सेक्टर्स और फ्रॉम डिफरेंट कंपनीज. तो सारे स्टॉक्स का एक बास्केट बना देते हैं एंड देन एसेट मैनेजमेंट कंपनी दे डिफाइन दैट दिस इज द allocation structure that we are, let's say if we are giving them 1,000 rupees to invest in an equity based mutual fund, then they would invest 100 rupees in one company of stocks, another 100 rupees in another stock. So ऐसे करके वो allocation define करते हैं. So in a way we get a mixture of different stocks via this equity based mutual fund. Second category होती है debt और debt is basically a loan that we are giving. So different companies they need to or they have different capital requirement for different purposes. It could be expansion or it could be to pay off some existing debt they have. So उसमें क्या होता है whenever we give or whenever we invest in a debt based mutual fund, so we kind of get an interest which is called coupon from that particular company along with the amount that we are investing. So at the time of maturity we get the amount principal amount जो हम invest कर रहे हैं along with that coupon or interest rate that is our income via this instrument. Third is called hybrid mutual fund. So as the name is suggesting, hybrid, so it is a mix of both equity as well as debt. And the last, which is not that common among beginners investor, but it is very crucial for us to understand. So it is called index-based mutual fund or exchange traded mutual fund. अब ये म्यूचुअल फंड क्या होते हैं दे काइंड ऑफ इन्वेस्ट इन सिमिलर दे इन्वेस्ट और मनी इन सिमिलर allocation manner as per the index which is there. For example, NSE or BSE, these are two different indexes in India. तो अभी इसमें जितनी कंपनीज है और उनका जितना एलोकेशन है राइट लेट्स से X percentage is allocated to Reliance, Y percentage is allocated to some other company and another X percentage is allocated to some other company. So whenever we give our money to or whenever we invest our money in ETF or exchange traded funds or mutual funds, so इनके सेम proportion में NSE और BSE के सेम proportion में वो money invest कर देते हैं. So these are the 4 major categories that as an investor we need to understand about mutual funds. So now let's try to understand what are the key factors that we should keep in mind when it comes to selecting a mutual fund. So कौन सा mutual fund लेना है that I'm not going to discuss here, but क्या factors that we need to consider right before we go ahead and select a mutual fund that I'm going to discuss about now. So the first key factor I believe should be looked at is the expense ratio. अब ये expense ratio क्या होता है? This is an ongoing cost that asset management company charges from us to manage the fund or to manage the money that we are giving them to invest on our behalf. So this is usually charged on annual basis. And for we discussed, right, there are two types of plans. The first one is called direct, wherein we are directly investing with the asset management company, and the second one is regular plan, wherein we are investing money via a third party broker. So वहाँ पे कमीशन चार्ज करते हैं वो. So सिंपल सी बात है, एक्सपेंस रेशियो यू टेल मी किसके अंदर कम होगा, डायरेक्ट या रेगुलर? यस, डायरेक्ट के अंदर कम रहेगा. So as a beginner, we should be targeting to select a direct plan instead of regular plan. So the second key factor that I believe should be looked at is exit load. जैसे name suggest कर रहा है exit load. So if we have purchased, let's say, one mutual fund and now we are trying to sell it, and we are trying to sell it, let's say, in predefined time, let's say right after 15 days or 30 days. So if we try to sell that, then most AMCs, they define or they have this exit load, wherein if we try to sell a mutual fund after purchasing from them, within a defined time frame, then we have to pay some charges towards it. So this is usually available in the AMC fact sheet. So this should definitely be looked at. So the third key factor that we need to look at is the lock-in period. So now, as the name is suggesting, so few mutual funds, they have lock-in period wherein if we invest our money with them, so हमारा पैसा it stays locked in till the time that lock-in period is over. इसका एक क्लासिक एग्जांपल है ELSS schemes, जहाँ पे basically these are your government supported schemes, and government is actually pushing retail investors like you and me to invest in these schemes and claim income tax relief under section 80C. But इसका लॉकिंग पीरियड होता है 3 साल का. 3 years is like too much. So many mutual funds, they have lock-in period of 0 years also. So इसका एक मतलब देखना, मतलब whenever you are trying to invest or whenever you are looking to invest in any mutual fund, try to ensure that lock-in period is as low as possible. So the next thing now which I would like to discuss is a concept called diversification. So whenever we are selecting a mutual fund from beginner's point of view, so we need to ensure that the mutual fund that we are going with is diversified. तो जिससे हमारा बेसिकली रिस्क कम हो जाता है. अब डाइवर्सिफिकेशन का मतलब क्या हो गया? दैट we are not putting our eggs in one basket. What does it mean? That the mutual fund that we are selecting, it has stocks or bonds from different industries altogether. Let's say कुछ स्टॉक्स उसके रिटेल इंडस्ट्री से है, कुछ स्टॉक उसके एविएशन इंडस्ट्री से है, कुछ स्टॉक उसके ऑटो इंडस्ट्री से है, राइट? सो एक इंडस्ट्री में लेट्स से या फिर एक ग्रुप ऑफ स्टॉक्स के अंदर अगर डाउन डाउन टाइम आता है और डाउनग्रेड आता है, सो अदर इंडस्ट्री के अपग्रेड से दैट कैन बी नलिफाइड. So diversification ensures that our risk is balanced out, and having an exposure in one industry or too much exposure in one industry is always a risk. So highly diversified portfolio should be always built. So this is a very important concept that you or any beginner investor need to have a clear understanding of. So all the key factors that we have studied now. So let me give you a quick demo, like how to find actually and how to understand कि जो हमने पढ़ा है and how it is actually looking when we are looking at a mutual fund. So I have opened one mutual fund. It is Canara Robeco Large Cap Fund Direct Growth. So as the name is suggesting, it has direct growth, right? So that is the plan type that we discussed, whether it is a a direct plan or a regular plan. So this mutual fund has direct growth in the name of the mutual fund, so it is a direct plan. इसके नीचे देखोगे, then you would find it's an equity based, right? So we discussed three categories, right? Equity, debt and hybrid. So it's an equity based. इसके साइड में एक लिखा हुआ है लार्ज कैप. अभी इक्विटी के बेस्ड के अंदर ना डिफरेंट कैटेगरीज आती है, वेदर इट इज स्मॉल कैप, लार्ज कैप एंड मिड कैप. ये क्या होते हैं? दिस इज बेसिकली द मार्केट कैप ऑफ कंपनीज जो इस म्यूचुअल फंड के पोर्टफोलियो के बकेट में है. सो इसके अंदर जितनी भी कंपनीज है इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड के अंदर, वो सारी मार्केट कैप के अंदर लार्ज कैप के, मतलब बहुत बड़ी बड़ी कंपनीज है. रिलायंस हो गई, HDFC बैंक हो गई, इन्फोसिस हो गई. सो वी विल सी ऑल दिस कंपनीज डाउन. If we scroll down, you would find NAV. So NAV is basically a kind of a stock price, but stock price is applicable for individual stock. In case of mutual fund, we have NAV, net asset value. So as of today, the net asset value is 73, something like close to 73 rupees. You would also find rating. कि इस म्यूचुअल फंड की रेटिंग कितनी है, दिस इज आउट ऑफ 5. यू वुड ऑल्सो फाइंड द फंड साइज, और इसको टिपिकली बोलते हैं AUM, एसेट अंडर मैनेजमेंट. सो ये है 16,000 CR का फंड. सो इस म्यूचुअल फंड में जितना भी पैसा अभी इन्वेस्टेड है, दैट इज 16,000 करोड़. दैट इज वेरी गुड. If you scroll down, you would find holdings. So it has 57 holdings, starting with HDFC Bank, ICICI Bank, Reliance Industries, right? So they have highlighted top 10 holdings, and इनके against जो percentage mentioned है, that is the percentage of allocation. For example, अगर हम 10,000 rupees इसमें invest करते हैं म्यूचुअल फंड में, so 9.97% would be invested in HDFC Bank. Same goes for ICICI, wherein 8.68% would be invested in ICICI Bank. So ये सबकी allocation and company wise allocation यहाँ mentioned है. Second, we have returns on ranking that we can see कि first year, 3 years and 5 years के अंदर इसके जो peers है, दूसरे mutual funds है similar category के, वो कितना दे रहे हैं, that we can look at. And peer comparison also we can have a quick look कि similar type के जो mutual funds है, equity, large cap, right, वो कितना दे रहे हैं. Next section is on expense ratio, exit load and tax. So this is what we discussed, right? So इसका expense ratio है 0.47%, and that is including GST. So they are going to charge 0.47% annually. Exit load यहाँ पे है 1% if we redeem within 1 year. What does it mean? That let's say as of today, if we invest 1,000 rupees, and if we try to sell this mutual fund within 1 year after purchasing this mutual fund, then we would have to pay 1% of that amount जो हमने invest करा. Stamp duty is something that which is tax related, so that we can leave. Anyway, it is very small amount and it is one time. Tax implication. So this is again important. So it is telling that the gains that we are going to get. So if it is a short-term gain or if it is a long-term gain, then how much tax do we have to pay on that? तो ये भी एक important factor है देखने के लिए. So yeah, मोटा मोटा यही है that we need to keep in mind. अभी कौन सा म्यूचुअल फंड सेलेक्ट करना है, सो दैट इज अगेन अ वेरी बिलियन डॉलर क्वेश्चन. एंड उसके लिए वी नीड टू डू थॉरो एनालिसिस, वी नीड टू हैव एन ओवरव्यू ऑफ द इकोनॉमी में क्या चल रहा है, बिकॉज ये मार्केट जो है ना, इट इज़ फुली मैक्रो एंड माइक्रो एनेबल्ड. हर एक मैक्रो फैक्टर की वजह से मार्केट अप एंड डाउन बहुत होता है. अगर वो अप एंड डाउन होगा तो जो हम जिस पे मनी इन्वेस्ट कर रहे हैं, म्यूचुअल फंड्स हो गया, स्टॉक्स हो गया, बॉन्ड्स हो गया, ये सब बहुत इम्पैक्ट करते हैं. So we need to keep reading a lot. For example, I'm not asking you to uh, invest in this, but I'm just highlighting this. If you have been reading news lately, then you would have realized that FMCG companies have not been doing great since last couple of quarters. So अगर ये FMCG companies और the sector itself is not performing, then इसके अंदर जितनी भी major companies है, HUL हो गई, Dabur हो गई, go and try to understand कि इनके स्टॉक मार्केट के प्राइस में कितना इम्पैक्ट आया, राइट. सो जब से ये डाउन टर्न स्टार्ट हुआ है, जब से ये इम्पैक्ट आना स्टार्ट हुआ है FMCG के सेक्टर में, तब इनका स्टॉक प्राइस क्या था, अभी क्या है. सो डज इट मेक सेंस फॉर अस टू लेट्स से नॉट इन्वेस्ट इन दिस सिंगल कंपनीज इंडिविजुअली, या फिर हम एक इनका म्यूचुअल फंड ले लें. अभी म्यूचुअल फंड एक कैटेगरी के और होते हैं जिनको बोलते हैं थीमेटिक इज बेसिकली सेक्टर स्पेसिफिक. तो IT स्पेसिफिक म्यूचुअल फंड होते हैं, FMCG स्पेसिफिक म्यूचुअल फंड होते हैं, टेक्नोलॉजी बेस्ड म्यूचुअल फंड होते हैं. तो FMCG स्पेसिफिक म्यूचुअल फंड के अंदर यू वुड फाइंड ऑल दिस बिग कंपनीज, राइट. HUL यू वुड फाइंड, डाबर यू वुड फाइंड, मेरिको यू वुड फाइंड. अभी इनके लास्ट 1-1.5 साल के इनका नेट एसेट वैल्यू म्यूचुअल फंड्स का नोट करो, लाइक वेदर इट हैज गॉन अप, वेदर इट हैज गॉन डाउन. एंड ऑफ कोर्स मेरे हिसाब से ये कम होना चाहिए, बिकॉज companies have not been doing great. So does it make sense for us to buy, let's say, few units of this mutual fund now, or should we wait? Because if we buy now and whenever the consumption is, or whenever consumption picks up in future, so that would also increase the business prospect for these companies, and hence business is going to grow more, and that would eventually be seen in their stock market price. तो अगर वो बढ़ेगा तो पूरा NAV आपका म्यूचुअल फंड का, दैट स्पेसिफिक थीमेटिक FMCG बेस्ड म्यूचुअल फंड का प्राइस बढ़े, NAV बढ़ेगा, एंड द वैल्यू दैट यू आर बाइंग नाउ and the value it would be later on would have some difference. So of course we are expected to have some gains in future. So this is like a kind of a way that we can go about it, or this is a kind of direction that I would leave you with. So this is one way, and of course there are numerous examples, or there are numerous ways that we can look at. So this is something that I would leave you with now. I hope you liked today's video, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching.